Hey, good morning, fans of the Monday Movie Club, which started out as the MCU something or other. What was it?
The
The
Marvel
MCU
Movie Club.
Monday
It was the Marvel movie.
Marvel Movie Club.
Oh, wow.
It was still MMC.
Yeah.
Just changed it to Monday. This week, we're back to being the MMC Marvel Movie Club, reviewing the just completed season 2 of Loki. I'm Frank Gaffney. With us, as always, Joelle. You still haven't changed.
Yeah, I'm tired and lazy.
Goldfook and Cringer. That's news to us. You're tired and lazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Our fan.
I don't think. Oh, yeah. To them, it's news. All right. Annie King's in her dining room with a monitor. It's available if anybody wants it.
No, it's not available.
More.
Oh, no, it's spoken for.
But I have 3 more if you want one.
Yeah. We'll let everybody know when the tag sale is. You can go out to Long Island's. And Mark Wotitz Gardner, who has no picture up. And the first line I heard watching the show was, "Time passes differently here in the TVA." I'm like, make that the MCU. And I thought, oh my God, are we in for another really great movie that's stretched over 5 hours? I was right. Well, yes and no, really. And so this is it. So I really enjoyed the way that the arc, I guess is what I'm looking for, that Loki has made from his whole, I was going to say career, the whole time that he's been part of the MCU, from starting with Thor. And so he's the god of mischief, right? But spoiler alert, I'm sorry, we got to talk about the whole show, right? It just ended this week.
Yeah.
It was so funny because I watched it on the 9th, and because that was the episode I was up to, and I went online to see what people thought of it, and there were nobody reviewed anything. I'm like, why is nobody talking about this? It was the first day it was available. All right, so he's the god of mischief no more. This is the end for him, and so he's finally found his glorious purpose. Joel, is this the comic books? Was this his arc?
You got to remember, I haven't really been reading comic books for
2 years now.
Marvel for 2 years. Yeah, right. I was gonna say for like over a decade at this point. And I kept track of things for a while in various things, but honestly, from what I understand, yes, this is an arc that he's taken. It's an arc that, although Tom Hiddleston seems to be hinting that he's done with everything, and you could kind of tell that from the end of the series, there is more space for where Loki is currently at to be moved into where the MCU is going based on things that have happened in the comic books, and based on what we know where they're supposedly headed, depending on how much of that changes or doesn't change based on Jonathan Majors.
So since 2011, Tom Hiddleston, 6 movies and the TV series of 2 things, he had quite the evolution. He started out as a villain, became something of an anti-hero, and then he was a full-fledged superhero. But by the end of the season finale, he's transformed into something else. Is there a new name for him if he was the god of mischief?
The god of stories is apparently what they refer to.
God of stories.
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely. And he once desired the royal throne over anything and anyone, really. He would hurt his brother, his parents, everybody on earth. He didn't care. But now he's finally ascended to the throne, but not the one he was hoping to get, I think. And I really did like how he kept slipping back and forth through time. So we went kind of back to the first season stuff. It was a very clever way of reminding me what the hell happened in season 1. But it was great that he had a chance to chat with, the other important characters in the show. So I liked that part. And I definitely liked it when he realized the only way out was to kill Sylvie. That was great. This is my question. What was Loki the one responsible for pulling everybody out of their lives? And was he the one who started the TVA?
Oh.
It's confusing enough to actually ask that question without having to answer that question.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there are moments where
that's a definite maybe.
exactly. There are moments where I think they want you to think that, and there are moments where I think they don't want you to think that. And I think it is confusing. It was one of the problems I had with the second season, in that sense. So,
and the sad part, of course, is Loki sacrifices his, wanting to be the divine being, whatever it is, and have all the power you could dream of, but now he has nobody to enjoy it with.
yet.
Yeah.
What was this? Wait, what was this? In Mobius' report, he cites an incident with a variant in the 616 realm.
Yes.
But he's referring to Kang the Conqueror and the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Which is thankfully the one time the movie really came up. So there's too much confusion going on, right? Is that right?
Yes, that is exactly what they referred to in that last episode.
Okay. And then
I did catch that because 616 is our Earth, right?
The 616, well, it's not our Earth, it's the MCU Earth.
Right. And then so this episode is called, the last episode was called Glorious Purpose.
Yeah.
And so it ends with, okay, spoiler alert again, Loki restructuring the multiverse. But rather than leaving it in a cliffhanger, it kind of, said this is what everybody went on to. So that was fun, except for, Joel hinted at this already, the future of Jonathan Majors. We saw the young kid who's going to be, what is it, He Who Remains?
Well, no.
And he gets the guidebook.
That's Victor Timely gets the guidebook.
That's not him?
No, well, yes and no. All the Kangs are all variants of each other. So He Who Remains is a Kang variant that destroyed all the other Kangs to create the TVA and keep everything on one single timeline.
But here we see, this is what I wrote. Instead of taking a path that would lead him to be He Who Remains, he just turns back to his candles.
Yes, because Loki changed. Because everything changed, and then Loki started pulling all the threads. So Loki's in charge now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, then we kind of end with the most important characters behind Loki, Mobius and Sylvie. And first of all, Owen Wilson's nose is ridiculous.
Oh my God. It's like getting worse.
Yeah, totally.
But I really liked him in this.
I liked him in both seasons.
And then, of course, when they prune him, spoiler alert, they're not really dead. I thought they were being killed. I felt as betrayed as when Bobby stepped out of the shower in Dallas and the whole season was nothing. I'm like, I watched the whole season and you're telling me it was all a dream? Same here. I thought, oh my God, he's dead. No, he just went to another multiverse. And so Loki doesn't get a happy ending, and he watches Mobius and Sylvie continue with their lives with freedom of choice, which they never had. And then he has a tearful little smile, suggesting he thinks it was all worth it. So you're saying Tom is done, but so they haven't announced a third season. I don't think there's gonna. This certainly felt like the end.
Yeah, there's no, even when Disney Plus started all these Marvel shows, Loki was the only show that was announced originally as a 2-season show. So, right. That's what they did. And it's really, it's not like, as you said, a 6-hour movie. It's more like a 12-hour movie with, the 2 seasons together. And I think it works, pretty well. The fact that the second season picks up right where the first season left off and twists it in such a way that you're like, oh, I wasn't even thinking that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
I think, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I don't know what
I was going to say. I think any other alternative would be a mistake.
Yeah,
that's it. I thought the series was good. It had its ups and downs for sure, but I think I really did enjoy it. And finally, we get a satisfying conclusion to a character story that wasn't stretched out and diluted with some CGI ending, or was like a preview for other movie we're going to see in the MCU. So that was great.
That you know of.
And that I know of. And then what all right. His character arc again was great, and he has a position of power in the MCU. So if he is the power behind the multiverse, how do we not see him again?
Exactly. I think there's the fact that we know right now there are 2 Avengers movies on the way in 2026 and 2027 that we all have to live that long to see this through.
Ah. And so right, so the whole Joel, go back to the whole Jonathan Majors thing. Is that Kang the Conqueror gonna not work out?
So
No.
there's rumor is rumor. There's until Disney makes a decision and says something, the rumor that seems to be floating around, and I don't know if it's an actual rumor or something that like fanboys are picking up on and going, oh, this is what they're going to do. The larger one seems to be that they're going to remove Kang and replace him with a different character, possibly even Doctor Doom. I think that A, would be a mistake, and B, is probably more of a fanboy kind of wish list thing, because everybody wants to see Doctor Doom. Great, let's bring him in with the Fantastic Four at the right time when they do that. If Jonathan Majors is a perception issue, which he's going to be, unfortunately, once the trial starts with him, I think it's easier to just recast him. Kang is having rewatched.
They do it on soap operas all the time.
Well,
So
they've done it in the Marvel universe already. It's not there.
Yeah,
There's a precedence
exactly.
for it.
Yeah,
So
what's his name?
Terrence Howard became
Right.
Don Cheadle. Edward Norton became Mark
Although
Ruffalo.
Jonathan Majors really was great in this part.
He is, and I'm not saying that they're going to be hard pressed to find as good as an actor who can do it. But I actually saw a fanboy list. I was like, you know what, most of these could actually work. Not all of them.
I know. I hear Terrence Howard is available.
Right.
I think Denzel Washington should do it, though he's probably too old.
Actually, that was my first thought. He
Yeah.
is too old, but then the list had his son on it, and I was like, you know what, that could be an interesting way of going. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
What's John
Interesting.
Washington something.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. Miss Denzel Washington Jr. I don't.
No,
No, I know that's not his
I
name.
think it's John Carver Washington.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely tracks they can take. I think it would be a mistake to shift away from Kang.
Right.
There have been ups and downs and issues with Phase 4 and Phase 5 so far. Kang is not the problem. And they've invested so much in Kang. Having gone back and we wound up rewatching Quantumania last weekend, and I was like, there's parts of this that don't work, but there are parts of this that are better than I remember them being, and Kang is one of them. There are other things that have happened that need to bring the multiverse story forward, or that will be happening, that will be bringing the multiverse story forward, and you're going to need Kang for that. So
and folks, don't worry if you had investments in Kang; they're doing better than Bitcoin.
Right.
I know I'm silly. So and I know I'm not the fan of this rating, but I'm going to say it anyway. 3.25 for me. I did enjoy it, and yeah, and it was just too long for me. It was just too long. 12 hours is too long. All right, Joel, you might as well finish.
Okay. I enjoyed the season. Yeah, there are some things that were meh. I really liked Kehu Kwan as OB. He brought a nice bright spot to the series that was fun. I think the whole Ravonna Renslayer thing kind of got ditched very quickly.
Is that an important comic booky person?
She's in the comics. I don't know how important she is. And obviously they left her storyline open because she was somewhere in the multiverse, and there was like a big purple glow that she was staring at.
Right.
So
Right.
of me's like, is this Galactus that she's on a planet with him? I don't know. Anyway,
Is this a spinoff?
yeah, hopefully not. But they could have done more with her, or just cut her out completely in this season and left that mystery to be solved elsewhere. There were moments where things reminded me, when you're dealing with time travel, and the concept of things like, okay, Loki, how long will it take me to learn everything that you know? Well, it could take centuries. It reminds me of a Doctor Who episode. There's a, which was actually funny enough, that specific episode I was thinking of, that this episode reminded me of, was just voted as like the most popular Doctor Who episode ever, which kind of shocked me. It's a great episode, but I don't know if I know Frank's seen the show. It's a Peter Capaldi episode where he's basically trapped in a building for like 12 billion years, repeating the same escape
Right,
over
right.
and over. So anyway,
Yes,
but
and that was totally with Loki with his sister cutting off her hair, right?
yeah, it's, as I said, it was fun. I've always enjoyed Loki as a character from the comic books. Tom Hiddleston has been great so far. He has had a great arc over the 14 years, and if this were the last we saw of him, I'd be okay with that. They've given him, he's moved from point A to point B. It's all
Yeah.
made sense. It's all been logical. So, I'm going to agree with you, Frank. That's a 3.25 for this season. I don't know what I gave the first season at this point.
3.25.
Okay, so the whole show is a 3.25.
Hey, what did I give the first one then?
3. That's what I was looking up when Joel started. We all gave it 3.25, except Frank, you gave it 3.
Okay,
I'm on board now.
that's really all I got. It's
All right, Anna, you joined us because you were a big fan of the MCU. So where does this fall for you?
I would agree. It's 3.25. It was a little in the beginning trying to remind myself where this was going and everything,
You
but
did not watch the clip I sent you on what you need to watch before you watch?
no, I just watched the previously on.
Nah, mine was longer.
Oh, well, I was up at 5:30 this morning finishing this up. So yeah. But I thought like episode 5 was really funny, and there were a lot of great parts to it and
Yes.
everything. When he said Thor's not really that tall, I just love that throwaway line. There was like a lot of funny parts, and with OB and everything. And then I was saying to Danny, it reminded me of a movie I just saw where he just keeps going and repeating the same thing until he and then I just thought of it. It was a Tom Cruise movie,
I know what you're talking about.
Day After.
Vanilla
Or,
Sky.
Day After Tomorrow? Is that what it's called, that one?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Joel, did you say Top Gun?
Yeah, I did.
He just keeps repeating that.
I should have said Mission Impossible. That would have been funnier because he's repeated that several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminded me of, that you just keep doing it until you get where he's like, don't worry, I know what you're going to say. Like, this is what you're going to say, But yeah, I thought the last 2 episodes were really good. And then, even though at 5:30 this morning, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But that's when your brain is most alert. So it's good you watch it then, instead of Amy at 10:30 at night falling asleep.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I did think, like, is this the end? Where else is this going to go? So I guess we'll have to see. But there were no, except for episode 1, there was no end credit stuff.
No.
Oh yeah,
Sequence,
post-credit
sequence.
I honestly, I think at this point they need to stop that. It's just I actually went back because I was like, you hear those complaints. How many of those haven't actually played out yet? And there's 3 from phase 1 that are still blowing in the wind.
Happen.
Yeah. So I'll give phase 4 and phase 5 a little more leeway because they're more recent, but it's like, all right, enough's enough.
Yes, but my favorite one was the shawarma one, which had nothing to do with
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to do something like that?
Yeah.
That's great.
With cuteness do a
Yeah.
cuteness. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
actually made me think that I was surprised that so many of the post sequence actually were foretelling another future movie because that
Yeah.
one. So I didn't realize that was even doing that for a while.
Well, if you think about it, again, having rewatched Quantumania, the scene at the very end of the credits at Quantumania is the scene with Victor Timely at the fair from episode 4. 4? I think it was 4.
God.
Maybe it was 3. I don't. But it's they just lifted that up and shoved it onto the end of the movie. It's like, okay,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
a post-credit preview.
yeah, and they've done that a few times. I mean, there was I forget which movie had a scene from Civil War with
But I think you're right, Joel, because in the beginning it was like, oh my God, what are they going to show?
Yeah.
Now you're like,
And there was one with Nick Fury that was very much okay. This is coming up in a movie or two from now.
yeah.
I mean, I think the shawarma one was funny because it was a throwaway line in the movie, like
Right.
it's a great
Yeah.
shawarma place,
Yeah.
you know, and but
Yep.
But not just a throwaway and funny, the fact that it was shot so far after the film had been finished, because if you look at it,
Yeah, the facial hair.
Chris Evans had to cover his face because he had a beard,
I should sit here like this.
right? Yeah.
Well, when we recreated it, I think you did.
No,
One of you
Nick,
sat like this.
Nick the Brit.
Oh, okay.
so
Nick Britt.
so then at the end of the series, it wanted me to watch Secret Invasion. Is that before or after Loki, or totally separate from anything?
Here's what I would say. I would say let's pretend it's totally separate from everything and never happened.
Mhm.
Because again, keep in mind that this Loki that we're watching throughout this entire 2 series was from 2012 at the end of the Avengers. That's when he
It's different.
jumped out,
Loki.
and then the TVA caught him for illegally time traveling or whatever it was. So that Loki is is already 11 years old. So it really does exist outside of time. Who knows when anything takes place compared to it?
Well, I'm very happy at least that there is a sacred timeline, because I hate time travel crap.
Hmm.
You could change anything anytime. It's like, no, you can't. All right, Anna, you done?
Yes, and I thought Miss Minutes was very funny, and how when she was so jealous and
Who's the
everything.
voice? Who's the voice of Miss Minutes?
Tara Strong.
Name I didn't recognize.
She's done a lot of voiceover cartoon
Yeah.
work for
It
years.
sounded like it.
Yeah.
All right, Aim. What'd you think?
Oh, just I forgot
When
about
did you watch the last one? 5:30 this morning?
last night, like 10 times I watched the last 30 minutes rewind. So this morning I watched the last half hour.
I believe I stated that correctly.
Yeah.
Wait, why? Did you keep falling asleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a very long day yesterday of eating and drinking. So but Miss Minutes, I remember thinking her animation was beautiful. I just loved her, but I hated her voice. I hated that little smarmy southern voice. I hate that, especially when they're being all bitchy, snotty, smarmy, and they're southern. Hate that. And the other thing I hate is Kiwan Kui, whatever his name is. I think he's a horrible actor. I hate his Elmer Fudd problem that he has. I hate his high pitched voice. I hate him. I love him as a person. I'm sure he's a lovely person, but I think he's a terrible actor. Anybody could have said those lines. Terrible. Frank, you look like you're agreeing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't get
Everybody
it.
else thinks he's great. I don't get
Okay.
it either.
I mean,
So
I get that people are very happy
The
that
nostalgia,
and he has a comeback story.
which I love.
But yeah,
No, I thought-
any 100 better actors would have had fun with that part.
I thought
Yeah.
his delivery was perfect. I thought he was
Terrible.
funny.
But I remember
I'm not saying it wasn't.
What?
Sorry, I'm not saying it wasn't. I think other actors would have been better.
well, no, I'm saying it was terrible, and other actors would have been better. Would have been better. I remember in the first episode, though, I think I was talking to Joel about it, and maybe a text or something, how I loved the time travel and the and all the scenes with him, OB. I really enjoyed the character and all that. And then episode 2 and 3 were like, okay. And then episode 4, when the spaghetti started, I was like, oh, now I'm really digging this. And then episode 5, when they had the montage with the Fifth of Beethoven disco. Again, I loved it. Love. In fact, I watched that scene like 3 times. I just thought that was
Nah.
fabulous. Loved it. I forgot what I was gonna say about episode 6. I mean, I did enjoy it. I'm not gonna say anymore because I can't remember what I was gonna say. But I'll give it 3 stars since I gave Loki 3.5, 3.25 stars. And I remember really enjoying the first season.
You can't remember what you want to say about episode 6 because you were
Yeah,
sleeping. Took a lot of-
maybe. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I did find it a little confusing. I didn't quite get when his whole thing with the horns appeared, and all of a sudden, what? But he became the god, and he's pulling everything together. But I had to do a little research to really realize what was happening, and I thought it was lovely that he sacrificed everything in his life to become a god of nobody, which was, it really was a great arc for that because I've always liked the character.
Yeah. Well, maybe Richard E. Grant should take it over and just wear the blue.
That's right. What about the alligator?
Alligator.
How is that a Loki? All right, so Mark, now explain why you don't have a picture up. You're just too lazy?
No, this.
No,
this
he
is-
was shocked at your 3.25, so this is not going to be good. He definitely went.
I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. It was the
Wait,
first.
now, after I was so, I don't know what, persuasive.
Shitting on his movie. Oh, I thought you were going to talk about last week's movie.
I was so persuasive with my comments. Has your opinion changed?
No.
But now Loki is sophisticated and mature.
And mature.
Just like Mark.
Just like me, exactly. Perfect. No, excuse me. It was the first time any MCU movie or TV show felt like work for me because I, just like Joel and Annie, am a huge fan. And even the ones that like She-Hulk wasn't the best, but I enjoyed it. Same thing with Secret Invasion. I know a lot of people, fanboys, gave it a lot of crap, but I never felt like work. And this one, from episode 1, I was like, oh shit, 5 more of these. Having said that, it did get better as I went along. The first 2 episodes, I was like, wow, this is 2.5 at best. But the last 2 episodes, I think Annie mentioned before, that 5th episode, I love the science/fiction and how OB kept, well, that's science, that's fiction. I thought it was brilliant, probably the best, and the way it ended with Loki like he can now time travel or whatever. It was a great ending.
Right, being able to control. Yeah.
Well, that way, how does that work? That just because he's time slips, if you time slip enough, you can suddenly just go and stop time. You just get powers like that. A little weird, but
Centuries of learning.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like now it's like the
that was the 6th
DeLorean
episode.
and Back to the Future. Now he knows where exactly to move the dials.
That was the 6th episode, though. That was after he got that before. So it was a little bit weird. That the 6th episode is when it was Groundhog Day, when it went over and over and over again. The 5th one is when he had to save all of the different, Mobius and whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess the 5th and 6th episode were pretty good for me, which made up for the other stuff. I did enjoy Ki Kwan. What else? The Time Branch deaths, I thought it looked too much like getting dusted. So I thought they could have done.
Yeah, I thought of that too. Yeah, but it looked great.
Yeah, I already said all this stuff.
I guess they already had it all written into the CGI computers, so they were like, "Yeah, let's use that again."
Yeah, exactly. For me, the word's already been used a few times. Confusing, and that was my issue.
Oh yeah.
Just the time stuff, the way they're trying to explain it to you, I stopped caring, and I think that was my issue with it. It didn't hold my interest, even though it was fun and I liked all the actors, and some of it really was just a fun rom. So I think for me, at the end of the day, I'm going to go 3 stars. And I am surprised that
you're saying that like it's terrible. I think 3 stars is good.
But that's only because the last 2 episodes really brought it up. It started out at 2.5. It was 2.75 for a while, and at the end, I have to give it as a whole. I'm going to go 3 stars, but it could have easily been 2.75. And the only difference for me, my take at the end was when he grew the horns again, and he did get what he wanted. And for me, if he controls time, that's extremely powerful. I think he's going to find a way to get out of that situation and now be more powerful than ever. And I do think he's going to cause some, ruckus in the future as a villain again.
I don't think so. I think he's changed. But I forgot what I was gonna say.
I don't know.
I think based on what I've read um, about the comic storylines of the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, and I know when we talk Secret Wars, Mark and I have a specific image of it, but there was a more recent version, and I think that's what they're basing it on, and not the one from the 80s, even though the one from the mid 2010s or whatever was based on that. It's different because they used that Secret Wars to reboot the entire Marvel universe.
Okay.
And I think that's where they're headed. I think they have to head in that direction. And I think that they're going to bring back Tom Hiddleston for something in that because Loki's involved.
Well, that's I was gonna say I didn't know any of that reboot stuff, but I would have put money down regardless that he's gonna show up again in Secret Wars along with the X-Men and Fantastic Four and so forth.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. I think the MCU really has very big shoes to fill with Infinity War and Endgame,
Yeah.
which they're their own worst enemy now. We
Yeah.
all want that again,
I think
and it's going to be hard to build to that at this point.
I think that I think you're correct in that it can be hard to build, but based on what I know of those two stories, they can do it.
Yeah.
And those two stories will serve two purposes if they continue on the path that you can kind of see where they're going with it. It's gonna require either keeping Jonathan Majors or replacing him as Kang. They're gonna have to do it without shifting Kang out of the equation. I think that would be more problematic. I think that if they can pull it off, those two movies will be on the same level as Infinity War and Endgame. But then at the end of it, they are going to have to do exactly what Marvel Publishing did after that second Secret Wars and reboot everything from scratch if they want to continue. That doesn't necessarily mean not keeping certain aspects around, but it would definitely have to start things from scratch and kind of pull them back apart without.
Well, but isn't that what they really were intending to do with four? They were gonna, all of those old Avengers were done, and we were gonna start a new thing. So
Well, here's
what
I'm
it kind of fell apart.
I don't know that it fell apart in the way that we're all thinking it did. I think several factors influenced it at once. We had a pandemic which delayed a lot of shit, which meant that everything was coming out at the same time, basically.
And now the strike.
Right, yeah, and the strike has added to that. You had the head of Disney basically being like, all right, streaming. Everything needs to go to streaming. We need more product, which added to that as well. And I think now that Bob Iger's back in charge, you're going to see a slowdown for the next year or so, with Deadpool 3 being the only Marvel film coming out next year. And from what I'm reading about it, it is heavily influenced in the multiverse aspect. And if you look closely, even with all the missteps, you're seeing Marvel introduce new characters like Shang-Chi, the Eternals. Even on TV, you're getting younger versions of the older heroes. Sam is now Captain America. There's a
But I think
Hawkeye Junior, things like that.
I think that has been the problem, Joel. I think they just introduced too many characters. There's nothing for us to focus on.
Well,
too many characters.
What I'm saying is that yes, with Phase 4, that was definitely an issue. You can see with Phase 5, they're refocusing it on things. The concept of the multiverse and
Unlike this video.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, come on, I gotta go.
Right.
So it's like, did Miss Marvels tie things together? The Marvels tie things together a little with the TV show and the movies and stuff?
As the only one who has seen it of this group so far, I'm not telling you anything.
Please don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so there's hope yet, is what
Yes,
Joel's saying.
there is
here.
hope.
I agree 100%
Alright,
with
well,
Joel.
and
If
like
they do
every-
it right, if they do it right, the Secret Wars is going to be awesome.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? The only thing worse than a hopeful MCU
Is Barry Hattrick?
is a hopeless one. I was going to say something very profound and it didn't work. All right, so Loki is on Hulu.
Disney.
Disney.
Disney Plus.
It's on Disney. Oh yeah, it's on Disney. But watch the whole 2 seasons together. It will help. And next week we're continuing with the MCU and going to the movies. See the Marvels. Joel's already gone. He posted a vagary on Facebook about it, and I'm going today.
No work.
Anybody else?
I don't
Yeah,
know
I'm
when
going Friday.
I can go.
All right, you gotta watch it before next week.
I don't know if I can.
All right, I like that we're trying to be current.
Just remember, Amy, it's only an hour and 45 minutes.
I know.
Although
The shortest MCU in
admittedly, when the movie was over, I felt like I had to pee over 3 hours. But
right, it's the shortest one in history of
shortest
MCU.
one, yep.
Is there
We
a
love that.
mid and end credit scene, Joel?
There is a mid-credit sequence. There is something at the very end, but honestly, you don't have to stay for it.
Okay.
But you have to stay for the mid one.
Yes,
Thank
The
you.
mid-credit sequence.
yes.
All right, thank you. I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
And also with you.